All right, welcome you guys. Welcome to today, Tuesday's May 11th, Q&A. This is an opportunity for you guys to ask your questions, have them answered. We do this every week here on our YouTube channel. We also do it every Monday on our Facebook page, facebook.com/DTL Inc. So welcome to today's Q&A. We're talking truck driver safety tips in construction zones or construction areas, construction safety, all of the above. That's the topic for today. But like I said, as always, if you have questions, put it in the chat, put your zip code, put your city and state, whatever, if you're looking for a specific position, because we'll stop, we'll address that, and make sure your questions are answered. So I got Anna here. She is rip-roaring ready to go. Man in the chat. If you don't see her, wave hi, say hello. Frog is here. Hey, Wally, how are you? Hope everything is going well. Where you at? What do you say? Should me? Just a little bit. No, Mexico? You're in New Mexico, huh? All right. Well, welcome to today's Q&A, you guys. Hey, Tim is here. Tim had a fun-filled week last week in the Jamboree, North Carolina. So I'm glad you were able to do that. Got another one coming up in June, right? June or July? Which one is it? I don't remember. But it's got another one coming up, so we'll have to cheer him on. Amy's here. Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Good morning to you. All right. Talking about, glad you could make it. That's right. Talking about overall safety in construction zones. This is the time of year, especially if you're in Montana, you have just a couple of seasons, one of them being construction season. And we're in full swing right now. So for those of you who are in the area, traveling in the area, or anywhere else where they are doing construction, be cautious, be patient, be prepared. And basically for, putting it all together, expect the unexpected, because that's pretty much what's going to happen, right? Frog says, hi all, good to see you here and more. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Utah colors are orange and green. Never get done with construction. Yeah. Yes, they are. But what is the saying when there's construction or road construction? It's a sign of a good economy. That's the saying, at least. I don't know, but it's there as long as they're keeping up on the maintenance. I appreciate that. I absolutely despise going down the road and hitting a pothole, whether it's in town, out of town, or the road is falling apart underneath me. So I do appreciate them taking the time to repair and maintain everything. Amy says, yep, we have 4 seasons in Montana. Snow, fool's weather, yes, but more snow, construction, and fire season. Is that not the truth? We know this too well, right? Amy's near me, in our neck of the woods, so. Excellent. Let's dive in. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, put it in the chat and I will try and keep my eyes on it and answer them as they come in. All right. So DOT officers say that the number of violations that they have come in are significant, especially in construction zones. And you usually see some sort of DOT officer coming through that construction zone looking for those who might be following too close or speeding or excessive speed or whatever. Improper lane changes or erratic lane changes. Those are the main tickets, the main violations that they're writing people up for in construction zones, along with failure to obey road signs or control devices. Those are the major ones. And that the number of incidents, the number of accidents that occur is significant in construction zones, usually rear-end collisions. So to prevent that, an easy way to prevent that is give yourself a little bit of time in between the vehicle in front of you and yourself. Easily said, right? Although then you feel the pressure, you've got anxiety because you've got a load that needs to be there. Maybe you didn't give yourself enough time, you didn't plan ahead. Those are all things that you need to take into consideration when you are preparing for the day. 700 on average, about 700 fatalities happen annually because of close encounters in construction zones that end up in rear-end accidents or clippings, but 700 fatalities on average a year. 4,400, get my numbers all swapped around, 4,400 for the last 5 years are the number of fatalities that we've seen. 4,400. Massive amounts of fatalities that could have, for the most part, been prevented. That's over, in addition to those fatalities, there's over 200,000 injuries in construction zones. Again, because people are following too close, they're using excessive speed. You need to obey the signs. So what do we got here? Amy says, summer is going, so we'll be traveling more and construction will be in full swing. That's right. Especially here, people are traveling a lot more during the summer. It's the time to get out, but it's also the time to get some of this maintenance done on the roads. And so you're going to be slowed down. You might be stuck behind a tractor trailer if you're in a four-wheeler. You might be stuck behind a few in another tractor trailer, going up hills, coming down hills, wherever that construction might lie. Tim says, had a busy weekend, wiping down the truck to the rain 4 different times on Friday. The next truck show, he says, is July 8th, 9th, and 10th in Walcott. So back in Iowa. Good deal. Amy's wondering how the truck show went. When I asked, he gave me a thumbs down. But it looked like he was having fun. We got some videos on Facebook if you want to check those out. Facebook.com/DTLink. Not that Amy doesn't already know that channel, but channel? Yeah. Webpage. All right, so we'll talk about some of these statistics. We'll dive in on a little bit on this, but just as a reminder, let's be prepared. What are some of these safety tips? How can we be safe trucking down the road, coming through some of these work zones? Stop. Take a little bit of time. Give yourself some space. Figure if you're going 60 miles an hour, on average, let's use some easy math here because math is not my ball game, but 60 miles an hour, it's going to take you about 7 seconds to complete a stop. It's significant, slowing down, and that all depends on how much you weigh. It depends on, if you're going down a hill and what kind, if you're hauling liquid, that's going to have an effect on it as well. Now, we're mostly refrigerated. We're mostly, reefer units, vans, flatbed, but be aware of how long it's going to take for you to slow down and make sure that you're paying attention to the traffic ahead of you. If the vehicle ahead of you is slowing down, you need to react immediately. If the vehicle ahead of them is slowing down, be prepared to react. It's just a process. They're going to have to react, so therefore you will. But be prepared. Take your time, lengthen your stopping distance, give yourself a little bit more room. If it's raining, if it's snowing, you guys see Colorado and Wyoming yesterday, it's going to take a little bit longer to stop. And it is, you don't have a whole lot of time or space in a construction zone. You all know that way too well, in order to slide to the right or slide to the left if you're not slowing down fast enough. Look at some of those videos out of Wyoming or out of Texas this last winter, really in February. You were seeing people trying to get away, trying to get out of the way. In a construction zone, you really don't have the space to get out of the way. So you have to be prepared to stop. You need to go slow your roll, just keep your space. Make sure that you've done a proper pre-trip, that you've researched your route, that your tires, your brakes, that they're not overly worn, that they're in good condition, because that's going to make a difference on not only your speed, but also your braking distance. Is there dirt or is there gravel on the road? Again, always a factor. It could slow you down. It could kick back. If you're carrying a heavy load, like I said, or if you're carrying liquid, if you're coming downhill, if you're coming on a decent grade, coming down a decent grade, that's going to slow you up pretty quick. So be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of the unexpected. Now, again, some of those numbers, I said 700 fatalities on average for the last 5 years. That's over 4,000 fatalities just in the last 5 years. 133 fatal work crashes occurred in the U.S. involving just commercial large trucks. The numbers I was giving you, the 700, that's overall still a significant number. But 133 large trucks That's the fatalities for this last year. Every 3 days, an average of a fatality. 47% of fatal work zone crashes are in rural interstates and involve tractor trailers. 21% of fatal pedestrian accidents occur in work zones, again, involving a tractor trailer. 49% of fatal trucks involved work zone crashes. They occur when a truck hits something or something in front of them or something around them. A driver distraction is a factor accounting for over 30% of fatal truck driving crashes, especially or within the work zone. So keep that in mind when you are looking for your cell phone. Put the cell phone away, especially if you're going through a work zone. One touch, Bluetooth, same thing. If you've got your Bluetooth on, it's still a distraction. We try to minimize distractions by allowing the Bluetooth, but it's still some sort of distraction. So you need to be quite aware of that, and you need to be sure to quiet those noises. Turn the radio down. If you've got a passenger with you, ask them to just give you a moment. Let them know that this is more of a stressful time. Not just for you, because maybe you handle this well. Maybe your skills are good enough to go through this work zone, but you don't know how somebody else is going to react. So you have to, yet again, preaching, you have to expect the unexpected. Amy says Anna is a master of math. That is very true. Hey, Mudflap, good to see you. Yep. Yes, so there she goes. 1,500 work zone, 1,500 feet. It's about 17 seconds to slow down. Yep. The length of a football field, about 7 seconds. It's really not that far when you're thinking of a tractor trailer slowing down. Mudflap says, glad there is no speed limit in the sky. Yeah, only 3 seconds. Wow, I'm guessing that kind. Yep. 3 seconds so what she's referring to is the take 10. One of the major DOT violations that I mentioned earlier that officers are giving out, or you earn, I guess, not so much giving out, but is an erratic or an improper lane change. Take 10 is giving yourself 3 seconds to signal and 7 seconds to actually merge from your one lane to the other lane, or change lanes, one over the other. So give yourself enough time so that you're not cutting anybody off, so that they have time to get around you if they need to. Ideally, at this point, they should be reading the signs just as well as you are, and they should already be where they're at. But especially with four-wheelers, that people are going to try and get around you at the very last second. So, again, be prepared. In this case, it's not so much the unexpected, because we all expect them to try and get around, but we have the Smart Drive cameras in the truck. So remember, the following distance is part of the features in the Smart Drive, the inward and outward facing event recorders, some of the gauges that are there in Smart Drive. But the following distance is part of it. If someone cuts you off whether it be a work zone or any other thing, but if somebody cuts you off, the speed gauge in the following distance, the gauge that's on the front of the truck, is going to be able to tell if you're speeding up to tailgate them or if you're pulling back to allow them the space that you should be allowing. I'm not saying that it's not frustrating when somebody cuts you off. I most definitely agree that it is frustrating. Your temperature might rise, but take a couple of deep breaths, slow, deep breaths, and allow yourself to back off and give them that distance. It's a service to them. It's a service to others. Make sure that you're keeping it safe. Mudflap says, I thought it was hang 10. Nope, it's take 10. You're so wrong. Amy says, I thought it was in the States, the DMV books. I thought that's what it states in the DMV books. 3 seconds. I must have missed a conversation on that one. What's about gold tooth? What's that? And if you use them, you're a godsend, she says. Yes. Montana is the worst, I think, about poor driving. I disagree. I think they're all worse. I think everywhere's bad. Thankfully, we don't have as much traffic, but we do have higher speeds in general because we have less traffic. But then in some of those areas, like metropolitan areas and whatnot, the flow of traffic is going way beyond the actual speed limit. I think of Minneapolis as the example I always think of. You know, it might say 35, but everybody's going 65. You still have to go with the flow. Yep. You said Bluetooth. Oh, gold tooth. I'm so slow on my flap. So slow on my part. So yes, you guys have to be prepared. You don't have the space beside you. You don't have a lot of space in front of you. So you have to be prepared in ahead of the time. So pay attention. Focus on the road. Don't focus on the construction. Know where the workers are, but you don't need to know what they're doing and how they're doing it. Just know where they're at so that you are well aware of them, and making sure that you see the signs, you're paying attention to the signs, you're reacting, you're reducing the speed when need be, you're merging when the merge happens. So Anna had put on there that it takes about 17 seconds to run 1,500 feet at 60 miles per hour. If that's the case, then you only have about 15 seconds to get from your lane, if you're in the far lane, into the merged lane. So again, 15 seconds by the time you see it, and you have the take 10 where you're giving yourself those 10 seconds, really you're cutting that close. So make sure that as soon as you see it, you begin the process of signaling to merge. And hopefully they react as well. Amy says Seattle and LA are bad Montana people that just don't seem to have to care. Possibly. Yeah, I think it's all. I haven't had to drive in LA traffic, so I'm not sure. But Seattle's a lot for me. Yes. All right, other things. So know your route, research your route, be prepared, use your GPS. These new ALK systems in the truck, part of the TransFlow Geotab unit, they have the updated, ongoing updates for the GPS. So they'll let you know that you're headed into a work zone. They'll let you know if weather's an issue. Stay on track or keep up to date on our Facebook group. Our Facebook group, we try to do our very best to make sure that you're getting weather alerts and maybe construction alerts, especially in heavy areas. And not only here, like I'm not the only one posting. Angela is constantly posting. Joseph has been posting. Eric's been posting. Diane's been posting. I've seen a lot of people posting to keep everybody else up to date on some of these alerts. I'd say Angela pretty much rocks it though. She's always on top of those for me, which is fantastic. I appreciate the help. So research, know your process, plan your day. Pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to other drivers. Yes, you're going to have to drive defensively. That's why you're the professional. Thank goodness you're the professional because the others are falling short. But pay attention. Don't gawk at what they're doing. Just know where they're at. Know what the signs are saying. Be aware of them. Slow down. Give yourself the space that you need. Be prepared to stop because they could be, some of those flaggers, they're rolling that sign from slow to stop, and you need to be able to stop in the right amount of time. Move to the open lanes, move early. So as they're telling you to merge, start that process. Start putting that blinker up there, let them know, and be aware of your blind spots. You've got even more blind spots in a construction zone because they can't get as far out from you. And people, like I said, people are going to be sneaking in on you. Keep your distance from the vehicle in front of you. Now, the vehicles behind you, their job is to keep the distance from you. I can't guarantee that they're going to do that. I can almost guarantee that they're not going to do it as properly as they should. However, you can prevent a rear end accident by giving enough distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. So if the person behind you does hit you, in a worst case scenario, if they do end up hitting you or rear ending you, you're not going to be pushed into the vehicle ahead of you because you've given yourself enough space. If they're stopped and you're stopped so close to each other that if someone just bumps you with the rear end and you hit them, you did not give enough space. Give enough space between you and the vehicle ahead of you. Rear end accidents, collisions are the most common. Do not follow too close. It is not only a major moving violation, it would be cause of a DOT recordable accident, most likely because you're ticketed for following too close. And odds are at speeds like that, somebody's going to be injured. Hopefully no fatality, hopefully no injuries, but there could very well be a tow. So be very careful. Amy says, if you can't read their plates, you're far too close. Or if you can't read their plates because you are too close, back up. Well, don't back up, but be prepared to slow down much faster. Last night was great. Not a car in sight until I got to Clearwater and one passed. Yeah, and there you have to be careful as well. Only Stephen gets to drive in the cities, huh? Be patient, you guys. Like I said, patience is key, and it is so hard sometimes. I know that others will test our patience, but being patient not only for the other drivers that are there, but being patient to the construction workers. They're doing their job just like you're doing your job. I'm doing my job. We have to respect that. And I just ask that you, by respecting that, you act accordingly. So there you go. Pay attention. So my five keepers. Keep your distance. Move early. Merge early. Change lanes early. Slow down. Give yourself enough space. Pay attention. And plan your routes. Plan your day. Those are the main tips that I would say that you want to go through in order to stay safe in a construction zone for a tractor trailer. And like I said, rear end collisions are some of the most common accidents that are out there. They're usually on freeways, interstates, even 2-lane highways. And the reason they happen is because drivers aren't aware, or they're not prepared to stop. And the traffic in front of them slows or stops faster than they expected. So again, that's where the unexpected occurs. Head-on collisions, even more dangerous, usually in 2-lane highways. Again, these are the most common accidents in construction zones. Drivers will cross the center line, especially if they're merging and stuff. Drivers are swerving to avoid objects. It might be a cone on either side of them. They're narrowing down. Imagine how much harder it is to drive a tractor truck, for those of you who don't, to drive a tractor truck between cones that are much closer than normal. So you've shrunk the lanes. You already have to stay in between the lines, but now you're staying into a much smaller space, possibly near half the size. And you've got vehicles coming out the other direction. And those vehicles, they're not always paying attention. Their eyes are wandering. They might not be prepared to stop. They might not be expecting the unexpected. So they're swerving to miss things, probably because they're at higher speeds than they should be. And so therefore, they're coming over into your lane and causing accidents. Again, being prepared. In construction zones, when you're turning, if it's a right angle collision, that's more so in town or multi-lane roads. Even in multi-lane roads, when you're coming across, drivers, they'll pull out or they'll turn left in workspaces, in intersections or driveways without enough gap. There might be multiple cars coming the other direction, and they hit them because they're going across traffic. And they see that the first lane's clear, but they're not paying attention to the others. Or maybe you think you're going to come slide right behind that first car, and you go just a little bit too quick. So again, another common truck crash in the work zone. Usually on the multi-lane, usually within in-city limits, and it's avoidable. Taking their time, waiting until it's clear. Sideswipe collisions, now instead of going the opposite direction, sideswipe collisions are more side-by-side, obviously. Coming in, cutting somebody off. Freeways, interstates, it's pretty common in multi-lane highways as well, or roadways as well. And it's because drivers aren't checking their blind spots. Whether it's a tractor trailer driver or it's a driver just trying to sneak in, you're not checking your blind spots, and that can cause those sideswipe accidents. How many of you have been sideswiped or sideswiped somebody because they were in your blind spot? Well, that's usually the case, right? So be aware. And again, that's why we take 10. 3 seconds to signal and 7 seconds to get into the lane. Truck collisions with barriers, with cones, with, hate to say it, signs, individuals. Those are often in the multi-lane. It's because drivers are going too fast. They're trying to navigate the work area or the construction zone, but they're not paying attention to the road. They're paying attention to all these outside distractions. Again, if somebody is in the truck with you, ask them to just be quiet for a moment to help keep an eye out for things that are happening so that they can help communicate that with you. In case you miss a sign, have them help you look for certain signs. It could be an exit or an on-ramp, off-ramp, whatever. But if you're going too fast, that happens often. That happens often with all of those distractions. If you have a pet in the truck, if you have a dog in the truck, another distraction. If you've got the radio on high, could be a distraction. If you're looking out at something completely separate, another distraction. So be prepared. Work zones often have narrow shoulders, narrow lanes, narrow shoulders, and there's lots of disruptions. Slow traffic or stop traffic, lane closures, temporary lane closures, slowing and stopping the traffic themselves. So whether they're already slowed or they're in the motion of it. Detours, flaggers, people who've got shovels in their hands, and some of the foremen who are kind of toting in and out of the roadways. Law enforcement trying to direct the traffic. Like I said, work vehicles entering and exiting the workspace, whether it be tractor trailers that are hauling gravel or hauling things in, hauling things out. Workers walking alongside. So not just flaggers, but these are all distractions, and they change from day to day, just like the distractions in the truck. So be prepared. They're hazardous. They can create massive damage for tractor trailers if you're not prepared for it. So be prepared. Why do we need patience? Patience is a virtue, is it not? So hard. So hard to handle sometimes. Yes. So pay attention to the work signs. That's how you're going to help reduce your chance of work zone crashes or construction zone crashes. Leave enough space between you and the vehicle in front of you, the motorist. Watch out for motorcyclists. Motorcyclists can be a major hazard, with motorcycles, and it is getting to be motorcycle season. I mean, they're in full swing right now. But when they're coming on and in and out of construction zones, it's hard to pull. I mean, because the wheels of the motorcycle will just pull, will jerk as they enter and exit the work zone. You know how it is, especially nowadays. At least in Montana, we've got those little divots in the center as well as on the side of the roads, that little rumble strips. That's really hard on a motorcyclist. So when they're going in and out, can really pull them. So you've got to give them space. Absolutely have to give them space for their own safety and for yours. Be prepared to stop. Unexpectedly, stop, slow down. Everything is a lot quicker, even though the speed might be slower in a work zone. Everything happens a lot quicker because there are so many things just coming in close to you, surrounding you, coming in on you. So expect to stop when you see a flagger, whether they're just saying slow or not. When it's the flagger ahead of you, just expect to stop. If you're stopped or you're slowed in the traffic, within traffic, consider turning on your flashers or putting your hazards on. Warn that traffic behind you so that they're not coming up on you really close. Remember how I said give yourself enough space between you and the vehicle ahead of you? If that vehicle behind you is coming up at super speeds, they might not recognize that the vehicle in front of you has stopped. They might not recognize that you stopped. And heaven forbid, what if your lights weren't working properly? Last week was the blitz. So everybody's lights should be working well right now. But just in case, make sure that you've done your proper pre-trip so that people are seeing, are those hazard lights coming? If you've got hazard lights, it's going to help slow that vehicle behind you. So, and watch for traffic. Traffic could be coming in all different directions. Watch for workers that are coming in and out, trucks that are coming in and out, vehicles, out of work zones. And then get into the open lane as soon as possible. Make sure that you're doing it properly so you're not cutting anybody else off, but get into an open lane as soon as you can. Beware of motorists racing to get ahead of you. You know they're going to. Trying to get in front of you at the last second because, you're so much further, those 3 feet. No. Use an alternative route. If you're planning your route before you take off, you might be able to just flat out avoid that construction area, which could put you in a safer bet. All right. Those are all tips to help reduce crashes in work zones, in a construction zone. So if you guys have any questions, anything that you should add or that I should be adding, yeah. Anna's put some links in here for you that'll help as well. That should help to reduce some of the accidents. It's just really informative. We appreciate it. Amy says, not on the topic, but how's the tablet installment coming? Stephen is still without and has his old equipment. Well, right now, Amy, it's going better. The installment had kind of not halted, but slowed down significantly because we were waiting for some updates to come through with some of the load dispatches, so that all the information was coming through. Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much that he has the geotab or doesn't have the geotab yet, but he should be getting it soon. When it comes to equipment, though, I can flat out tell you guys, when it comes to the Peterbilts, because we're expecting 250 new Peterbilts this year, there has been a delay in the manufacturing of them because they're those little chips. You guys have probably seen this all over the news, whether it be Volvo, whether it be Peterbilt, or really any car out there. So not just trucks, but automobiles in general. They're waiting for that little chip in order to run that truck. So they can't sell them without it. So they're sitting on the lot until they can get those chips from China. So waiting on the ships. Tim says, what's a lot of fun, Amy? The rain was pain, but I thought it was going to rub off the paint of the truck. Not quite, huh? And his new stickers, his new decals that are pretty sweet. And a good point. Just like you, highway workers, they want to return home safely after work each day. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dang it, China. Too true, too true. So yes, make sure you're not limiting your maneuverability any more than you already are limited in the tractor trailer. But yes, with the trucks, we're waiting on the new trucks. Our trucks are still 2018s and newers. So we don't have old equipment by any means, but we like to keep it newer, top of the line. And so we're excited to get these 2021s in, and right now we're just kind of waiting. We make sure those 2018s are still circulating. The maintenance is up on them, so we're taking care of the maintenance, keeping that good to go, keeping everything in order. But yeah, that has affected a little bit of the transition, because no reason to get that geotab in some of those that we plan on getting out of our fleet here shortly. I'm not sure how quickly we'll be getting those trucks. At first we thought we were going to be swapped out by August for all the trucks, and we were planning on, I think, 20 a week is what Matt said during the podcast. Every week, every Thursday, we have a podcast that comes out. It's anchor.com/Decker Truckline. You can also access it on our Facebook page, Google Podcast, iTunes. I mean, they're all over the place. Anyways, our podcast 2 weeks ago was Matt Lynch, and he's I think his title is Director of Maintenance. But Matt was talking about how our trucks we're waiting on several of our Peterbilts, over 200 of our Peterbilts. We've only received, I think, a little over 20, and we were expecting 250 altogether. So, yeah. The nation is waiting. Waiting for those new trucks. It's all right. Our equipment's still good. Still has top of the line equipment. They have pretty much everything you can imagine in the trucks themselves. Most of them are 579 Peterbilts. We have some 760, 740 Volvos, Freightliner Cascadia Evolutions. So we have a combination of those 2018 and newer. They have APUs, refrigerators, inverters, bunk heaters, CB units, microwaves. Yes, microwaves. I think I said refrigerator. We've got TVs, a 32-inch television, plus we provide the Epic View satellite TV programming. You can DVR it or you can record it, anything that you want to watch there. We've got the Geotab units in the majority of our trucks, Qualcomm or Geotab, the TransFlow Geotab. We have the smart drive units in the truck, so our safety features, inward, outward facing event recorders, lane departure, speed gauge, following distance. All of those are included. We have Pre-Pass, Easy Pass, K-Pass, all in there. So yeah, these trucks are fully loaded, fully equipped, very comfortable trucks. Roomy. Take good care of you that way. Tim says, Amy had asked if he won anything in the Jamboree. He said, well, Amy, I got a $10 and a $50 gift card, complete axle cover kit, and a participation trophy. Participation trophy, huh? I love how you say that. Very cool, though. Yeah, you should see some of the pictures. They're pretty awesome. I think I might have a few of those here for you guys to check out. I think some of them are on here. We'll see. You'll see his truck here. Actually, let's do this. Here is this car is what we played before. There you go. But yes, we'll be cheering for him come July as well. All right, well, let's talk a few minutes. I know we have a few minutes left, so let's take the next 20 minutes or so to talk about some of these new positions that we have. Not all of them are new, but some of them are new home time options for you. Yes, very awesome. We have a refrigerated fleet. It guarantees $1,500. Now, obviously, you got to live in specific areas for that. So if you have questions, the best thing to do is to reach out to our recruiting department. This number here that you see, 888-668-0698, is a good way to reach one of our recruiters. You can also apply online at drivedecker.com. In a couple of the areas within the upper Midwest that we do hire for this $1,500 guaranteed pay, it's fresh meat is what you're hauling. So they're preloaded trailers on the front end, and then they're live unloads, and then it could be a variety of things on the back haul. If you live in, and I got to double cheat, certain areas you can get home every other day. Gotta remember what areas those are. I think Columbus Junction, Iowa. Where else in it? Cottage. There's a few. I don't have them right on the top of my head. How come? Why? But yeah, a couple areas we can get you home on a every other day basis as well as on the weekends. There we go. I knew I had a note somewhere. Columbus Junction, Iowa, Storm Lake, Perry, Iowa, Lansing, Illinois, and Elk Grove, Illinois. All areas that we offer the home every other day as well as home on the weekend. Still guaranteed that $1,500, but you're getting home a little bit more often. So you can't complain too much about that, right? Pretty good. Not too shabby. And other areas you would be getting home on a weekly basis as well. Now you're delivering to multiple locations, areas in Illinois, Indiana, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin. For the most part, those are areas that you'll be seeing. So Chicago is definitely an area that you'll see. It's kind of an out and back type scenario. And $1,500. Now, how many of you guys know the guaranteed pay qualifications? If not, let me go through those for you so you know. We offer guaranteed pay in most all of our divisions here at Decker, and the difference between one guaranteed pay and another is probably the amount based off of the freight that we're hauling for that specific location. In this position, it's $1,500 guaranteed pay. Qualifications are the same as the other divisions, where you have to be available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week. No load refusals. Get your paperwork in on time. We have the TransFlow Geotab unit in the truck. You scan it, take pictures, scan it, get it over to payroll. No CSA violations and no preventable accidents for the week, and no driver service claims, so on-time delivery. Those are the 6 requirements for the guaranteed pay. Now, in addition to that, as long as you have at least 70% compliancy with the week-to-week on-time delivery, well, all of the guaranteed pay qualifications, then you will qualify for the $5,000 sign-on bonus that pays out quarterly. So this is looked at every quarter, and again, you have to be at least 70% compliant for this position or for this sign-on bonus. You'll get paid $1,250 each quarter, but for all the miles you run over 25,000 for the quarter in the refrigerated divisions, or van divisions, you'll get an extra 5 cents a mile on all those miles over 25,000. And again, that's every quarter. That is not including any of our any of our monthly bonuses. Our monthly bonuses, we'll probably talk about next week. I think next week. We'll talk about the monthly bonuses. We'll break down those for you. The scorecard, the referral bonus, the smart drive bonus, all of the above, and kind of give you the heads up. Amy says, sounds like my week home every other day due to sports. Traveling back and forth to Missoula. Yes, that'll be it. Yeah, so this is the fresh meat dedicated. You're not hauling fresh meat, though. Well, I guess kind of. Munchkins. So this is the fresh meat dedicated position that we have. It is not one specific customer, but a variety of customers, but it's all fresh meat on the front end. Again, preloaded trailers. I'm going to bounce back and forth here on some of these different divisions. We have 2 positions available in our dedicated flatbed division out of Nashville, Arkansas. So if you could give us a call on that, it's 888-668-0698 to get more details. The pay is based off of your experience. And then, of course, you've got the guaranteed that's wrapped in there, so at least $1,000 a week. You're running a lot of the Arkansas area, Louisiana, Texas, and the Dallas and Houston areas, and home on a weekly basis. Now, if you live in the Dallas area or even Nashville, Arkansas, you could get home every other day, or at least more often, but home at least on the weekly basis for that one. It's a dedicated flatbed position. You do need to have at least 6 months of flatbed experience in order to qualify for that. Again, if you have any questions on qualifying, reach out to one of our recruiters at 888-668-0698 for more details. Speaking of dedicated, I have a new position based out of Jacksonville, Florida. Yes, Jacksonville, Florida. It is a dedicated position, and it's running flatbed, running pretty much just southern, central Florida. You need to live in Jacksonville or anywhere between Jacksonville and Tampa area, I believe. So, basically 150 miles south of Jacksonville. So if you live within 150 miles south of Jacksonville, then you would be, within the hiring area. Have to have 6 months of flatbed experience. You're home weekly, and you're running, areas of Miami. You're running, Florida. That's what you're doing. Speaking of flatbed dedicated, I've got another flatbed dedicated position out of Charlotte, North Carolina, Mount Holly, North Carolina, and you're running about a 200-mile radius. So a lot of North Carolina to Virginia, home on a weekly basis. It is flatbed, still requires 6 months of flatbed experience in order to qualify for this. I have a number of positions available, but you need to get a hold of us because I know that this area is filling up pretty fast. Again, it's Mount Holly, North Carolina, or Charlotte, North Carolina area, and it's a dedicated flatbed position that goes back and forth between most part North Carolina and Virginia. It is preloaded trailers. for the most part, and it's a lot of wallboard, so a lot of sheetrock is what you're hauling, and that's a dedicated. Another dedicated position that I have is a Conestoga trailer out of Tifton, Georgia. So if you live in Tifton and you have at least 6 months of flatbed experience, reach out to us at 888-668-0698. The position guarantees $1,000 a week. It is home every other day. So like if you leave on a Monday and you come back on a Tuesday afternoon or so. So it's basically home every day, just later in the day. But it guarantees at least $1,000 a week. You're home every other day. You can stay out a couple of days depending on how much that run is if you want to stay out a little bit longer. But it is a dedicated Conestoga position hauling aluminum. Conestoga trailers. So number is 888-668-0698 for that. So if you're looking for more Midwestern positions, if you live in the Chicago area and want home on a weekly basis, you have flatbed experience, then you can reach out to us. If you live within 50 miles of Chicago, we can pay you $1,700 a week and again, that's guaranteed pay with the same qualifications. Be available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week. No load refusals, no driver service claims, no preventable accidents, no CSA violations, and get your paperwork in on time. Those are the qualifications for the $1,700 guaranteed pay for the Midwest Flatbed Division. Also for the Midwest Flatbed Division, guarantee $1,450 a week if you live from Iowa City over to St. Louis, Missouri, to Columbus, Ohio, up north to Toledo, anywhere in this vicinity, over till Chicago up to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, back down to Mason City, Iowa, Fort Dodge, Iowa, back to Iowa City. Anywhere in that route, we can get you home on a weekly basis, guarantee you $1,450 a week. But remember, in the Chicago area, we can guarantee you $1,700 a week. You're going to be running a lot of the Chicago area, so keep that in mind. And it is home weekly. 888-668-0698. Anna is putting those links in, giving you a little bit of information on each one of those. But the best thing to do is to call the recruiters who have the most up-to-date information. Most up-to-date information. 888-668-0698 to get all of those details. What else do we have there? We have the short haul position. If you're looking for a short haul flatbed, live in the Omaha area, live in Fort Dodge, Iowa. If you live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, we have those opportunities. And again, a guarantee of $1,000 a week. Those requirements for guaranteed pay, one more time, are be available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week. No load refusals, no CSA violations, no preventable accidents, no driver service claims, and get your paperwork in on time, at least Sunday. I do, Amy. I do. So yes, those are the requirements to keep you busy and keep you moving, getting some good home time. The short haul position, depending on where you live, can get you home on an everyday basis or for 3 or 4 days out of the week, as well as the weekends. It just depends on where exactly you live, on how much home time we can get for you for that one. So 888-668-0698. There you are. What else do we have out of there? We have the guaranteed pay for the Midwest Refrigerated Division. It's $12.50 if you live in Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas. It's a great location. St. Joe, Missouri, another great location for this position. And really, if you live from Omaha to Davenport, Davenport to Chicago, Omaha to Des Moines. If you live in the Fort Dodge area, if you live in Minnesota from Minneapolis or along 90 to Chicago, that's $12.50 a week. It's guaranteed pay. It's refrigerated, gets you home on a weekly basis, and the guaranteed pay requirements are be available for dispatch 5 days out of the week. No load. I'll have to get those to you. Tim says, thank you both, Anna, Amy, Jesse, Katie. Well, you're a great help. Oh, yes, you are most welcome. We're cheering you on. We are definitely. Want to see you do well. Let me know. We can help if you need anything. Awesome. Awesome. What else do we have out of there? We've got our over-the-road refrigerated based out of Missoula, Montana. Yes, indeed. Also guarantees $1,000 a week for the guaranteed pay. The over-the-road refrigerated division that's based out of Missoula, Montana, you have the option of 2 to 3 days out. Excuse me, we have an option of 2 to 3 weeks out at a time for our over-the-road refrigerated division. It's coast to coast, although most of it's west to Midwest. There are some locations, Missoula being one of them, Seattle being another, that we can get you home every 7 to 10 days if you like. And again, let us know, 888-668-0698. It's full, I'm agreeing. But the division isn't. You don't have to live there. Areas of Montana that you live in, Seattle. Also, speaking of Seattle, anywhere from the southern border of Oregon along I-5 up to Seattle, we do have 2 positions available for flatbed. It's a regional position. It's basically the Western 10, and it can get you home about every 2 weeks. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you've got at least 6 months of flatbed experience, give us a call, 888-668-0698. So this reminds me, I should probably give you some details on what you can expect for getting pre-qualified, what the orientation process is like, etc. Our recent orientation process is you have 2.5 days of orientation in Fort Dodge. That's where we hold our orientation. It's our main terminal. Odds are you'll meet your driver manager. You'll go through the 2.5 days of training, which will also include your hair follicle and the PCE. PCE is like range of motion resistance training. And then you'll also have your driving test, meet with your driver manager, whether it's over the phone or in person, and get into your truck usually by Wednesday, get you going. So yes, we are doing these shorter orientations. It allows you to get going and get on the road a little bit quicker. However, that does mean that we have some online orientation that you need to complete before coming to orientation, either Monday or Wednesday. So depending on what division you're looking at, you might have a couple of options. So let me just back up a little bit and give you this whole picture here. Our new orientation consists of online orientation through Luma, which is our eNugget learning platform. Once you're approved, we'll send you that eNugget or Luma training so that you can start orientation before you get here in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Once you've completed that, you've probably already done, or one or the other. One might come before the other, but we have you do both the urinalysis and your physical before coming to orientation. Now, you might have a recent physical that we might be able to approve. If that's the case, you just have to talk to your recruiter, get that approved ahead of time. So once you finished your online training, once you have your physical and your urinalysis completed, your drug and alcohol test completed, then we'll get you your rental car. We'll set you up with a rental car or flight, depending on where you're coming from or what's more convenient for you, but we'll take care of that expense. In the online orientation, you will recognize that we have a repayment plan. That repayment program is just stating that, hey, Decker's invested this much money in you, and you'll see it all broke down there for you, so you know what that is. But Decker's invested this much money for you. If you left within the first 6 months, you could be responsible for a portion of that. But that's only if you left, and every month we knock off $100, and at 6 months, we wash it. It's gone. It's washed clean. But that's part of that online orientation. Learning some of our company policies and procedures, getting information on our pet policy or our dog policy, which is one dog, 85 pounds or less, a non-aggressive breed. We also allow 2 dogs as long as they don't weigh more than 40 pounds combined. So that's another option. The total for the pet policy is $750 deposit, where $100 has to be down before the dog can ride, along with a picture and the shot records for your dog or dogs. And then, of course, seat covers to cover truck seats. So that's the dog policy. And then we have the rider policy, ages 10 to 69. It's $25 a month for the rider. And we can do from day one if everything's in order. So that's the other thing. But a lot of those company policies and procedures are all the things that you'll see on the online Luma platform. So you'll see that ahead of time. And once all of those are completed and you start orientation, you'll start a 2.5-day orientation. Now, the exception to that are for those of you who need additional securement tarp training or additional, just a little bit more focus on that. So for those who need it, you can figure an extra day or two of orientation, and you'll be compensated for that as well. Orientation pays $500, but by completing the online orientation and the drug test, the physical, as well as the clearinghouse, which a lot of you have already done well in advance, then finishing those ahead of time actually gets you a $100 bonus. So it's $600 total. If you need to stay for securement and tarp training, additional securement and tarp training, then you'll get an extra $250 for each day that you need to stay. A total for $1,000 a week is the max for that. But yeah, in orientation itself, you go through the physical, or the PCE, excuse me, because the physical and the drug test has already been taken care of. You'll go through the PCE, we do the hair follicle, the driving test, go over a couple more of those policies and procedures. You'll meet with some of our different departments, safety, operations, etc. You'll have a concierge. Miss Katie will take good care of you, make sure that the truck is to your liking, walk through the truck with you and make sure that if it's missing anything, we can take care of it, that everything is in order. Basically, you've got the full red carpet treatment, and then we'll continue that with our art team, our ambassador team, as you transition into being a Decker driver here for us. So that's the orientation. After the 2.5 days, after you've met with your driver manager, you're getting into your truck, you're getting situated, you get dispatched out, start making some more money. And don't forget that guaranteed pay does go into effect once you have at least 5 days of that you're available for dispatch. Otherwise, you'll get the pay per mile and the miles that you're running. So we want to get you those miles and get you running and keep that money coming your direction. Amy says, are orientations still being done in person, or is it online, or is it in class? And what locations do you offer it in? So great question. It is a combination of online and in person being in Fort Dodge, Iowa at that terminal. And so whether you live in Florida or Montana or Washington or Iowa, Illinois, it's always in Fort Dodge. So we would get you the transportation. You can choose to fly, you can choose a car, and we'll get you the transportation here as long as we can. There's some locations that, there might not be a rental car or a flight close to you. Fort Dodge, I use areas of Illinois or Iowa as an example. Well, in that case, we can't help, but we can do the pay per mile, so reimburse mileage. Great question, great question. So $500 is what you're paid for the 2.5 days of orientation, plus the $100 bonus for those of you who complete the urinalysis, the physical, and the online orientation as well, ahead of time, before orientation starts. Orientation is a Monday start or Wednesday, depending on what's more convenient for you, and you'll get to meet your driver manager before you get dispatched out, so you kind of go over your expectation form. A lot of you understand what that expectation form is because your recruiter will go through it prior to you going through it with your driver manager. And all it is a document that'll follow you along the way. It goes through what your expectations are for home time, your gross income, what you need, what your net expenses are, so that we can make sure that we stay above that, so that we're constantly providing for you, making sure that we deliver. So the equipment that you're most likely going to get, give you all the details on what we have for equipment, what all of the amenities that we have. Yes, there's some Chicago runs. Yes, there's some night driving. Yes, there's the hair follicle and urinalysis and physical. What am I missing? Yes, we have both the inward and outward facing event recorders. It's part of the Smart Drive system. Yes, we have monthly bonuses, and we'll go through all of those with you as well. And home time expectations, those are going to be included within this form, but it'll go from the recruiter to the driver manager, and each person is going to make sure that they have a good understanding of what you are looking for from Decker, so that we can step up and provide. So that's that. That's so you know what you're expecting. And then as well as knowing what the guaranteed pay consists of, what it means to get the guaranteed pay, what you need to do in order to achieve that. Remember, the guaranteed pay is very basic. I like the guaranteed pay is 6 requirements. Get your paperwork on time, which is Sunday night. Ideally, if you get your paperwork in after every load, if everybody waited till Sunday night, it sure would be awful for the payroll department. So as soon as you finish a load, get that paperwork in. You can use the scanner in the truck. You can use your Transflow app on your phone, whatever is easier. So get your paperwork in. No load refusals, no driver service failures. Be available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week. No CSA violations for the week, and no preventable accidents for the week. Pretty basic. Same for the guaranteed pay or the sign-on bonus, the $5,000 sign-on bonus. All right, so that's the orientation process. And like I said, the truck has pretty much every amenity that you can think of in the truck. They are fully equipped and rip-roaring and ready to go. All ready for you. Any questions on any of that process? I know I went through that fast, but I know it's a reminder for a lot of you. But some of these changes have been new. The orientation classes coming down, shrinking from a week long to 2.5 days. That online orientation is awesome. So making sure that you're able to maintain or complete that prior to orientation is very helpful. And work with your driver manager or work with your recruiter to schedule your physical, to update your physical and get your urinalysis completed before leaving for orientation as well. Good. All right, well, to get started, just reach out to one of our recruiters. The number is right here, 888-668-0698. Again, that's 888-668-0698. It's a little easier to see when it's on black. And then, of course, drivedecker.com is the online application. In the upper right-hand corner says Apply Now. That's where the full application is. Yes, it's an Intelli app, but if you'd rather just talk to the recruiter first, make sure that you meet the qualifications. We really appreciate that. We like to get to know what you're looking for. Make sure we have that available and that you qualify as well. So 888-668-0698, and the web address is drivedecker.com. Michael, hey Michael, he says, what are the average miles per week for OTR Reefer out of Chicago? Well, they're depending on what you're referring to as OTR refrigerated. So if you're coast to coast out of the Missoula terminal, figure anywhere from 25 to 28 is pretty average. We've got guys that are running more than that. We've got some guys that are running less than that. Ideally, you are maxing out your hours. You are using all of them instead of splitting. Splitting them can sometimes cut your miles. Also, ideally, when you are dispatched on a load, we are working harder and harder to pre-plan you further out so you know in advance what you're looking for the next week to 2 weeks when you come out of the house. I'm assuming you're talking about the Missoula terminal, the coast-to-coast division, but I'll hit on all of them just to be on the safe side, Michael. But what I was going to say is make sure that you are delivering those loads as soon as possible. It might say your delivery is later in the day or up to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but you can often deliver earlier. So if that's the case, get there as soon as you can, offload it when you can, and then we can get you onto that next load right away. That's what gets you the most miles. Planning and making use, just really utilizing your hours to keep those miles. So for those of you who want to maximize your miles and hours and work them well together, that's how you do it. For those of you who might take more breaks or you might be doing a split, at that point, you may not be able to max out the miles like someone who's working on a 34. So good question. For the over-the-road that's still within the Midwest, so for Michael, to answer your refrigerated division, if you're looking to be out 2 to 3 weeks at a time in the Midwest, you're probably looking between 2,400 and 2,600 miles a week. If you're coming home on a weekly basis, up to maybe 2,500 miles a week, that might be a little high getting home on a weekly basis, but that's why we've put these guarantees into effect. So again, in the Chicago area, 1,250 is what we guarantee. Those are shorter runs in that division than our over the road. Our over the road division averages about 1,100 for a length of haul. Average length of haul is over 1,100. Where our Midwest, 400 to 600 is average. So you're running shorter runs, but that doesn't mean that you can't stack those up sooner, if you manage your clock well. But again, when I'm talking about managing your clock, I'm not throwing in the fact that weather might be getting in the way. That's what that guaranteed pay is for. If the weather is bad, or if you're tired, you're exhausted, you need to take those breaks. You will not be questioned. Just communicate with your driver manager. We know that, your body has to recover. We know that the roads and the weather doesn't always cooperate. We understand that. We just need that communication so we know why you aren't moving, why we can't pre-plan you or put you on another load. So as long as you're communicating, you're golden. And we'll just keep those miles coming for you. Michael, does that answer your question? Did I hit the right divisions? Like I said, if you're getting home on a weekly basis, whether you're running, if you're running like the guaranteed pay division, which is $1,250 a week, then you're looking at shorter runs. But you're guaranteed $1,250. You're probably looking at about 2,200 miles a week in that division. Very similar with that guaranteed pay in the fresh meat division that pays $1,500. So very similar miles. You're probably looking at the same amount of miles. But if you're getting home every 2 weeks, even if you're out of the Midwest, you're probably looking about 2,400 to 2,600 miles. In the coast-to-coast division, 26 to 28, unless you talk to certain people, and then they're running harder than that. It just depends on the individual, and the communication that you've got with your DM. Cool. All right. Tomorrow we will be doing a hiring event. So we'll be doing that. If you guys are in the southern area, we've got some new southern refrigerated positions available with southern dedicated or southern regional positions, I should say. So we're going to be talking about that. We'll be sending out emails to all those that we know in the area. If you're worried whether or not you're in the area and want to be part of that hiring event, then just reach out to us on this number, 888-668-0698, so that we can give those details to you. All right, you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining me for the Construction Zone Safety for our truck drivers. And please be safe, watch out for each other, and take care of each other. Michael says, my buddy is 2,700 to 2,900 miles in the Midwest refrigerator, and that is good. Yes, it's definitely doable. Michael, can you tell me how long he stays out at a time? It is doable, no doubt. But remember, the key to the mileage is working with the driver manager and making sure that you are maximizing your hours. When you can unload, if you can unload early is how I probably should have said it. If you can unload early, then make sure that you're doing so. So the sooner you get there, the faster you can unload. Whereas some people wait till the final unloading time, and they take their time to get there. Well, obviously that's going to limit the number of hours that you can do, because you could have driven that whole time. 3 weeks. Oh, well, heck yeah. I'm figuring, 2 weeks out. But yeah, 3 weeks, absolutely, he can be doing that. Absolutely. He's not cutting loads short. Where those who are getting home on a weekly basis, they have to cut a load short oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes they have to cut a load short, hand off a load, or not deliver the load till Monday because they're getting home on a weekend. So yeah, then they're limited. Good point, Michael. Excellent point. 2 to 3 weeks out, yeah, you're going to be looking at that. All right. I will let you guys have the rest of your Tuesday back. Thank you so much for joining me today. And again, it's 888-668-0698. You guys have a great day. Be safe. Stay safe. Look out for each other. And we'll see you next Tuesday here on our YouTube channel at noon Central, and next Monday on our Facebook page, facebook.com/